Hello, welcome to this tutorial of painting a Space Crusade Genestealer. Now I've got three here that were pre-painted. This was before I decided to do all different things with it, make tutorials, etc. So they're all slightly different. They're not the highest quality, but they're pretty good for, Space Crusade as a tabletop board game. And so I'm going to start off with how I primed the model I'm going to use for this tutorial, and here it is. Now you probably can't really tell that well on this camera, but I started off with a primer all over of Mechanicus Standard Grey. Then I went over the top with Grey Sear, like that, and at the front, and a little pass at the back. Then I finished off with White Scar just on top. Because I'm going to be using contrast paints on these for a bit of quickness, that's what I decided to do. So that's the priming stage of the model done. Okay, we are going to apply some Skeleton Horde all over the Genestealer now. And this is going to be done not very elegantly. This is going to be done with a very large brush. I've got a number 6 brush here. Nothing too fancy. And, it just doesn't need to be. I can literally slather this all over the miniature, because it's going to cover the main bulk, and it's going to give a great undertone for the shade washes, which we're going to apply later. So this is kind of cool, and this is why we applied 3 different primers to the model, so that we had some sort of variation in shade and lightness and all that kind of stuff, because we didn't want to faff about later on with doing any natural highlighting or anything like that. This is a board game after all, and that's what that is the effect we were aiming to achieve. So we'll get this all over. This is the great part about these give a good difference of like one stage in one go, whereas some forms of highlighting take like forever, and it doesn't look like you've done much. It's even started to drop onto the cutting right now, which is fine. That's absolutely excellent. This is what we want here. Just go have a look around the model, make sure you've got in between all the fingers, claws, whatever. It's not a big deal if you do miss a spot, but it's nicer for consistency if you have that kind of air of coverage over the whole model. And once he's dry, we'll be able to move on to the next step. Okay, now I'm going to start what I refer to as the fun part for this one, and I'm going to start with the shade washes, and inks and glazes and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to start with a shade wash of Drakenhof Nightshade, and I'm going to be concentrating on the back here, because these older sculpts have this part here, the tail, the head, just under here. I could go other parts, but I'm not going to, just to keep it consistent with the other ones I've got. So I'm using a small layer brush for this one. Probably could go with a larger one, but I don't want to. The thing with these is it takes a long time to really build up any sort of drastic or any anything approaching opaqueness when you're doing washes and inks and glazes and that kind of thing. Once you've got that first one on, kind of cements it for the rest of what you're going to do. So I want a kind of a blue look on this one. I've had green and purple and red, so I'm just going to go with blue on this. So I'm just trying to access the areas that I want for this one. And obviously under here he's got like a, under his throat, and I'm going to go over his head. And this is coming straight out of the pot, you know, there's no thinning down of anything here. I'm going to go straight over the whole face, the teeth, the tongue, because I'll be painting them with a more opaque colour later. Right, okay, so I think that's it. Yeah, I was just checking the other models. That is, as far as we're going on this one here. Yeah. Just getting established in this main colour, which says this is the kind of generalistic colour I want for this bad boy here. There we go. Okay, going to use some game ink Vallejo. This is a darker blue, so I'm going to use this on the underneath side, the underneath region of the Genestealer here. I'm just going to paint that on, like so, a little bit too much there. Let's just draw some of that back off. That's good, that's good. That's good. Actually, I'll do the tail as well here. Yeah. Might do a little bit on the back of the head there, like that. Okay. Now it's going to wait for that to dry. Okay, now in the same vein, I'm going to do a glaze of Gilliman blue over the other parts. So again, I'm using my small layer brush. I'm just getting the pot open here. So popping the glaze over, like so. One thing these little slots are good for on these old Genestealers, it does actually, these like ribbed sections, it does keep the glaze in place. I'm just going over the other side. Obviously, I've allowed some time to elapse in between the last section and this section. Now I'm also going to go over, see we did the ink on the top of his head here, but I am going to just put a glaze all over and even under. Yeah, then we wait for that to dry. Okay, so for the next stage, we're going to work on his claws. We're going to use scale color black. It's a very matte black, actually. I'm going to use a small airbrush to do this. Just getting the paint off my palette here. applying it to the front claws here first. So please bear in mind this is not my natural position for painting. It's a lot further away for starters. I mean, that's due to the fact of the camera being so close. But I do think these camera angles are quite good. Now, also bear in mind, this this tutorial, which is, well, I say tutorial, this how I paint these Genestealers, this isn't a very high-end result. It's just to get him up to the same sort of spec as what I've already got for the rest of my Space Crusade. I have a full set of Genestealers for the game here. Well, I think it's a full set. So I say full set, it's only like 3. But I've got that. And this will be like a spare one. And the spares are good because I do intend to, you know, I've got all sorts of house rules and homebrew games and setups in mind for it. So it's always good to have spares, isn't it? Or if you break one or lose one or what have you, right? Always good. And I have another set as well to do, of which I will do all of the miniatures up to, I'll paint them all up to a higher standard. So there will be other, and I've got my Lost Patrol board game to paint as well. So there are Genestealers in that. So again, they I will do to the probably the a much higher standard than these. But that's cool because it will give me the opportunity to do yet more tutorials for you all. So I suppose the only people that would gain anything out of this is like people just starting out or looking for ideas of how to paint, what colour scheme they want to paint, what techniques do they want to use, contrast, do they want to combine it like I've done with these guys. Combination of contrasts and washes mainly, yeah. So that's cool. It's not a large area to paint for these, but because he's got 4 arms, it takes a while, you know. It just does. I'm hoping to get this stage. I don't know which is the longest stage, but it's probably this one. Maybe the highlighting. I don't really give it much thought. I'm going to base in this one the same as the others as well. Just so that, like I say, it's in line with the rest of them. Of course, the modern Genestealers. I want to do a tutorial on the modern Genestealers too, which I do prefer to these, if I'm honest. But these are pretty cool, nevertheless. I think it's this type in Lost Patrol, I'm not sure. It's been a while since I played that game. Long time, actually. I just can't remember. But I've got a couple of sets there that I haven't actually played through yet. The only times I've played it is someone else's game, actually. At least that's how I remember it. Or I might have had an old set when it came out, and I don't know what happened to it. I had to get it again. bottom line is I've got 2 sets of that here now. And we'll do tutorials on them, like I say, at a later date. So, here we go. So this is the claws done. So I'll just allow that one to dry. Okay, so for the next part, I'm going to highlight the edges of the claws. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to use some Vallejo model color neutral grey. I really like this grey. It's one of my favorite greys, if I'm honest. Not just the color, which is kind of neutral. It's neither light nor dark. I like that. I also like the opacity. I like the consistency, the pigmentation, pretty much everything about it. And I'm going to apply this using my Artificer layer brush from Games Workshop. Now, just because I had it lying around, so I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush. Pop that on. The thing with these brushes is they don't, because they're so small, they don't, the thing with small brushes is they don't carry much paint, so you are likely to run out quite quickly. But then they are only designed for that. So here we go. Not too much. We can probably go straight on with the next colour after this because it won't affect us, which will be another shade wash. And so this one is essentially blue, but I'm toying with throwing some green into the mix, just because, just for giggles, really. Right, okay. I think that's enough. Yeah, so that's that. So I'm just going to apply some Athonian camo shade on top of his head. And then I might do some other shades just in the recesses of his arms and legs. Just because I want to, I don't know, change it up a little bit. But we are going with Athonian camo shade. I'll be using just a small airbrush for this one, I think. Again, Citadel, nothing fancy. But I'm loading it up a bit. So just over the top of his head there, like so. I think that'll be enough to just change it slightly. I might do some highlights around his eyes. I haven't quite decided. I'll do some Athonian camo shade on his arms. Do bear with me. Try not to move this too much. It's so hard. It's been, like I say, it's been a long time. This is only the second tutorial I've done recently in years. So, please bear with me. And of course, I'll get the settings right for the focus and everything. Make sure I do that. Okay. There are these little ridge bits here which are kind of fun. I'll do the ones on his legs too, I think. Yeah, don't think. Well, there's some underneath which I will do. You won't, although you won't see them really, except at a few odd angles here and there. Well, used to do something else with his the ridges on the top here. I'm just going to pop some Fernian camo shade on top of these. I don't know what you call them, like bony ridges poking out the top of his back there. So that will need some time to dry. So yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah, so that's the next stage. Okay, we're going to start the next stage with this Nocturnal Red by Vallejo. Now, as I'm aware, it's not the best of reds in terms of it goes on very, very thin, but that's okay. That's what I want. I don't care how thin it goes on. So I'm just going to shake that up, pop it straight on my palette, and now I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing on some of his bigger claws here. And when I say dry brushing, it's like kind of micro dry brushing. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to be using a character brush to do the dry brushing. So I'm literally just here with the Nocturnal Red. It's almost a brown. That's what it's like. And I'm just I'm just gonna do a little bit over each of these bigger claws here. Nothing fancy, nothing major. That is literally it. That is literally it. Okay, moving on with the red theme. I'm going to work on his tongue. I'm going to use Bloody Red by Game Colour for that. Again, load up my palette, which I'll be checking away in the near future, so I'm not really worried about it. Straight from the pot, Artifice Layer brush this time. I've had it for years. Any small brush will do. So just working on his tongue here. This particular one. I mean, you have pink tongues, red tongues, can't you? I mean, it doesn't matter. The tongues on these particular Genestealers, I can't remember if they're all like it now, but they were back then. Very easy to access the tongue. So, apart from this side where the claw obscures it somewhat, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. There. Great. So that's that. Now I'm going to add some green, Biletown green shade. I'm going to pop it on the back of his ridges. And this is going to be straight from the pot also. For this, I'll be applying it using a small layer brush. So just just on the back here. And on the top. And the arms. The ridges in the arms. There's only a couple of them. You can't really see them like that, but I'll just... And it's subtle at this stage. On the back of his legs here. I want to pop them as well. Being quite generous with it. I'm hoping, you know, that the wash will do the work for me, or the majority of the work for me. These little bits in here. And here. Like so. There, that's good. Now I've still got to do his teeth and things. I'm also going to do this ridge here on the back of his spiny bones. I'm just going to do them with Baltan greens. That's subtle. Okay, I'm going to be painting the base in the same vein as the other Genestealers. Now the other Genestealers, if you look, I've done them to kind of, I don't know, as if they're coming through some wreckage on the Space Hulk itself. So for these ones, I'm going to paint, for this one, lead belcher. So just a little bit on my palette here, like so. Tiny bit of water, nothing too crazy. And then just a case of blobbing it at the base of his feet. I'm not too worried about the ridge in the middle because I'm going to be going over that. I'll show you that in a moment. I'm going to do the rims as well, even though I'm going to be painting them black. But just in case the black gets chipped or doesn't cover very well, I don't want the kind of light grey underneath showing too much. I'd rather have the lead belcher. Okay, so already it's beginning to start to look like the others. Okay, so we'll leave that one there for now. As you can see, I've now put I don't know why I didn't do this first before I painted the base lead belcher actually, but you see what I've done. I've put a sheet of metal riveting there to so that it looks like my other Genestealer bases, like so. And all I've done is I just got a sheet of this like plastic card metal rivet thing I got off eBay. Cut it out, pair of scissors, glued it to the base. But right now, what I'm going to be concentrating on is the teeth and maybe a couple of other bone parts. For that, I'm going to use game color bone white. So we're going to use that. Just give it a bit of a shake up. Put on my palette here. And I'm just filling it down slightly. And then I'm going to use Artificer Layer Brush from Citadel. So I bring my paint in, get a little bit on the brush. Now, just for the teeth, just touching the teeth. As I've said before, with a small brush such as the Artificer Layer brush, or like size 0 brushes, or 0, 0, and that, you don't get much paint on the bristles. It doesn't allow you for that. It's like if you're doing eyes or what have you, you really won't get much to play around with. And you think you're on a roll. You think, oh, I'll do some more. I'll do the other eye, whatever. And there's not enough paint left on it. It's a common problem. Happens more often than you think. Also, when you dab the brush, because it's so thin, you can displace or dislodge the bristles. So please, please, please be careful with that. Another thing with these bone colour paints, they dry very quickly. There, so that is all I'm going to do for that one. For his teeth, now I'm just going to come over here, do a bit of a sort of an edge highlight on his shoulder here, and here, and here, just to gradually pick out a couple of areas. And this is probably a bit of what's the word? The opposite to how I started out, because it's like I'm wanting to go higher now. I started out with the intention of, well, let's paint it basic, but now I'm here. I'm like, oh, I want to paint it a bit higher standard, and it's fine. So you don't need to be doing this with the bone. It just gives some of the bony areas a little bit of, I don't know, an extra something. You know, but I am going to do his fingers on his claw hand here. Just gives him something. Yeah. Yeah, adds to just a little bit of something when he's on the tabletop and the light catches him in a certain way. You just want that little bit of, oh, yeah, the light. You can see what you've done. So you decide, you look over the model, you decide which bit you want. And this is totally not like realism or anything like that. It's just no realism at all here for highlights. I'm just literally trying to say, look, this point maybe a bit more prominent in the light. Okay, so yeah, I think I'll stop there, stop myself there. So that's the bony structure, or the bony segments, done. Just put a little bit of black wash over that. Use Nuln Oil, whatever you want to use, doesn't really matter. Just splash that all over there. Get that bit done. Get some nice rust effect wash on there by Vallejo. And need a big brush than what I've got. This one will do. Any old brush. This one's got like a horrible tip on it. Look. So let's load up my brush with this. Put this on. And that's that. All done. We'll go around the base too while we've got him here with the scale colour black. That lovely matte black effect that has. Let's paint that on. We've got to wait for this to dry. And we're nearly done, folks. But there's a couple more things we can do while we're waiting. tongue. Just get this base rim painted up here. So for the tongue, we'll go Carabao Crimson. Small airbrush for this, literally straight from the pot, and dab it onto the tongue like so. Doesn't matter if you get a little bit on the teeth, you can put a couple of bits here and there on the floor, a couple of bits of splashes on his legs, arms, all good. Like so. I'm going to add the next rust effect here in the form of riser rust. It's dry. It's a lovely orange, perfect for rust. I'm going to use my makeshift stipple brush here, and I'm going to get most of it off. I'm just going to actually I'm going to put a little bit more on there. So we're just dab it on the middle of the riveted plate there that we've got for him. 2 lines as to where to put any blood effect on this one. Yeah, sure the others have got it, but I don't think you need it really. We'll do a quick brush next of acrylic varnish, and then we'll put a little bit of gloss on top of his head. Last but not least, we're going to have some hard coat on the top of the head just to make it a little bit shiny. So I'm going to just place this on the top of the head like so. His tongue can be shiny as well. I am not going to bother with the eyes because I've decided that, you know, this is a gaming piece. It is a gaming piece. Just do a little bit of a corner there, a little shine. A little bit there. And that is it done. So here we are. He can be joining his other 3 brothers now on the Space Crusade battlefield. There he is. He's ready. He's battle board ready. He's board game ready. Here we are. 1 Genestealer. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on another tutorial. Bye for now, folks. Bye-bye.